Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got another interesting knife review / knife overview to share with you guys. This is the Kizer X Series Szlachta, I think is how you say that. I'm honestly not really sure. This is a limited edition knife, as is the case with, I think, all Kizer X Series knives. What are Kizer X Series knives? It's like Kizer Premium Plus. They go above and beyond to do some extra things they don't normally do with their production knives, and it's interesting. It's a cool idea. There's something a little bit odd going on with this knife. I found it out when I looked into it, and I don't quite understand, but I think I have an idea. In any case, I'm more than happy to tell you guys or give you guys my thoughts on this knife. I will link it down in the description. It does help my channel and use those links, but that's entirely up to you. Thanks to Kizer for sending it in. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me. So let's go ahead and get a measurement of this knife. Overall length is coming in at, it's smaller than you'd think, 7.5 inches. It really does look and feel like a knife that's a little bigger than that, but it comes in at 7.5 inches. Blade length is about maybe 3.3. Cutting edge, I'm going to say 3 1/8. Let's do some size comparisons. Any custom scales you find in this section can be found down in the description under Original Goat and Others, up against the 8010 and my own Excalibur. These are much larger knives at about 8.5 inches. So you can see it's smaller than them, but I still wouldn't call it a small knife. It's more of a medium-sized knife. Let's put it up against the Spyderco PM2 and the Spyderco Para 3. Very similar in size to the Para 3, just about a 1/4 inch longer and with quite a bit more cutting edge. And then finally, we'll put it up against the Benchmade Griptilian, or in this case, the Ritter Hogue, and the Hogue Deca. How's the action on this knife? It's really good. It's not, oh my gosh, the most spectacular thing I've ever felt, but it is what you would want typically at this price point. Very, very smooth. Very little can be felt internally, like with the pivot. I'm aware that it's on bearings, and I can feel it, especially when I have the lock bar. Like the actual detent ball is resting on the blade face there. You can feel it kind of but that'll continue to wear in. In fact, it has actually broken in quite a bit since I got it. If you disengage the lock bar, it's definitely smooth enough to fall down to your thumb, which it does catch in a nice spot right there in the sharpening choil. The lock bar is nested, which is nice, but it's kind of like, for some reason, it's like a hollowed out ledge right here. It's a little sharp. I kind of wish that they had just slightly beveled that to make it a little more comfortable, but okay, it's not the biggest issue in the world. Your thumb disc is how you will be deploying it primarily. You can reverse flick it. You can thumb flick it pretty easily, despite me missing it right there. You can also front flip it, which works pretty well. My favorite way to deploy this is simply using the thumb disc to kick it out with my thumb. I think that's the most convenient way. They did a good job here. The detent strength is good. I just wish that the lock bar insert was a little bit softer, but good all the way around. Let's go ahead and do carry profile. Thickness up against the Spyderco Para 3. It's maybe slightly thicker. Length and height up against the PM2 and Para 3. This was not a difficult object to carry in the slightest. You can see here, despite being slightly larger or longer than the Para 3, it actually takes up less room in the pocket. Let's go ahead and do a hardware check. I'll get out my tools. As per usual, my tools are very inexpensive and very recommendable. You can find them right down in the section of my description that talks about the tools I use in this channel. It's a T8 for the pivot. We have one T8 body screw, and then on the inside here, you'll have a screw for the pocket clip. But you can see here, there's no visible hardware except for the female end of the pivot on the show side, which is really cool, and it is ridiculously minimal, making it insanely easy to take apart, minimal in terms of the total amount of hardware used. As long as you have the right tools for the job, you should be good to go. Let's go ahead and measure blade stock thickness here real quick, and then we'll weigh it. Blade stock thickness on the Szlachta. Szlachta, is that how you say that? What's the origin of that word? You want to fill me in the comments, you let me know. 156 thousandths on the thicker side. Weight. What are we looking at for materials? We're looking at DLC coated M390. You do not have to go with the DLC coating. It is a DLC coating, which is really cool. And the coating also extends to the frame. So it's not like PVD DLC. No, it's DLC DLC. But they also have a version of it that is not DLC coded, which is perfectly fine considering it's M390 in titanium, and neither of those things have too much of an issue with corrosion. Yeah, if you want the DLC coating, you can get it. I don't think they charge any more for the DLC, which we'll talk more about, right? But that's what we're looking at there. Titanium clip, titanium backspacer, steel nested lock bar, and then some bearings, things like that. Weight, I'm going to say this probably weighs in the high 4s. I can't remember from the unboxing. No, the high 3s. I'm not even close. 3.8 ounces, which is actually pretty impressive. Balance is just a bit back of the pivot, but right there where you're going to have your index finger anyway. Meat and potatoes time. Is this worthy of being called an X-Series Kizer? Yeah, I think so. The last Kizer X-Series knife that I handled, I really enjoyed, and I thought they did definitely go above and beyond. This has a little bit of that. I mean, it's not Dmitry Sinkovich, but anytime I see this sort of S-shaped curvature and the trailing point blade, that's kind of what it makes me think of. They do have some really nice sort of faded frag milling here. We've got a nice polished titanium pivot collar. Look back here. We have both seam construction and a pinned backspacer. This is cool because we didn't need additional hardware outside of just the one frame screw to help hold that backspacer in place. This looks really nice, and it definitely is extra effort. The pocket clip tube, which by the way, unfortunately, is right hand only. The pocket clip does have a lot of extra effort into it. In this, when I unboxed this, I was kind of irritated by it, especially after I looked up what we'll get to the price here in a second. But I was like, I don't know, like just feels lazy. And the more that I looked at it, I was like, okay, it's not lazy. Like it doesn't have everything that I want or expect from this series, but it's definitely not lazy. There's a lot going on here, and I love that it's DLC coded, it's M390, right? The thumb disc, I think it goes along with the design. Some people love the thumb disc or hate it, right? But everything here does essentially, mostly fit into what I expect from a series of knives that is meant to be above their premium line, right? Got a little slot for tritium in there. They kind of snuck that in there. It's kind of neat, right? Ergonomically, it's pretty comfortable. It's a lot more comfortable than you'd think. I can feel the pocket clip a little bit. It's got quite the Loch Ness Monster bill on it, right? But fortunately, edges, corners knocked down. It's going to be a grabby clip. Be careful what you walk by, but it's made out of titanium, so not as unforgiving as Civivi's stamped steel Loch Ness Monster clips. It does ride directly on top of the texturing. Fortunately, the texturing is not insanely aggressive, so that's okay. Let you guys take a look at that plunge grind there real quick. Behind the edge, I'd say a medium. The edge is definitely sharpened well from the factory. It's an even cutting bevel. Got a nice swedge that essentially goes the length of not almost the length of the blade. Flat only runs out maybe 20% the length of the blade. There's 2 zones for jimping, and both of them are useless because Kizer there's no depth to them. I mean, I barely even registered that they were there, right? Yeah, it's relatively comfortable. It's a lot more comfortable than you would guess, but it's not, oh my God. It's just it's a good, comfortable knife. The lock bar, the nested lock bar is steel. We're going to get to the price. At this price, yes, I know you want steel on steel contact. That is what you want. This is why a lot of frame locks have nested lock bar inserts, so that the lock bar itself is titanium, but the interaction is between steel and steel, hardened steel and hardened steel. Why? Because it increases the life of the lock bar. So when you have a nested lock bar, sometimes they just do the whole thing out of steel. Functionally, this is perfect. It works just fine. It'll have a long, long life. However, at this price point, a lot of the, a lot of your target audience, Kizer, is buying this stuff not exclusively for utility. Obviously, as you know, right? We already have so many other elements here that prove exactly that. You don't need DLC coating, M390. You don't need textured titanium. You don't need the little blue. We're already well into that territory. So the argument I'm about to make is completely and totally valid. This does not assist the knife functionally in any way, shape, or form, but it is absolutely one of those things that people shopping at this price point tend to love and, generally want to see. This should have been a titanium lock bar with a steel insert. Again, doesn't change anything about the knife functionally, but we got a lot of that here already. But yeah, like we can't be slapping in like nested steel lock bars are things that we get at much lower price points, right? And like admittedly, there's a lot of stuff like bearings, for example, you can get a much lower price point. But I think that the frame should have been contoured, and the lock bar insert should have been, or the lock bar itself should have been titanium, and it should have had a nested insert because that's what we, that's the kind of stuff we want to see. It's just funny because wasn't the lock bar on one of their X series knives that I covered like that was titanium, and they nested in the this one is definitely steel. I can see like the magnet wants it, right? It's definitely steel, and there's no hint of, I had to check it, there's no hint of anything being, we'll just use the Citadel today. That other flashlight just kind of comes and goes. Yeah, there's no insert. It's just steel and a detent ball, right? So it would be nice if that was titanium, but it isn't. We have, I know I've already talked about this. I really like this area here. They got the jimping really nice right here, but all this extra effort here, right? I like that. No blade play up, down, left, or right. No lock stick. The stop pin is located in its traditional position. Pretty smooth in here. They could work on that on your X series, guys. I think this would have been like, it's kind of par for the course. Like the action is like good, but it definitely could be better. We got competition at this price point with definitely smoother action, right? Nice detent, and it has remained perfectly centered this whole time. What's the price? That was a weird thing. So if you look this up, I'll have it linked in the description. Where it's currently available, the only place that I can find that it's, actually I don't think that's the only place, but where you'll find it listed, it will be listed for about $319. Wow, that's a lot of money. Do I agree with that price tag? No, I don't think so. I think Kizer wants it to be a $320 knife. In order for me to pay $320 for it, or want to pay $320 for it, it would have needed to have that contouring on the titanium, and it would have definitely needed to have a titanium lock bar with the steel lock bar insert. But Metal Complex, those elements don't assist in utility in any way, shape, or form. Right. We've already talked about this. We're well into the area where utility takes not a back seat, but usually a side seat to aesthetic, materials, execution, all of that. Right? If you want me to pay that much for it, it's got to have those, those things that enthusiasts appreciate. Now, I found this listed on Blade HQ also for $189. It's sold out. What the heck happened there? I don't know. I got a couple of theories. Number one, it's never actually been listed, and the listing is incorrect. Number two, they accidentally listed it for $190 and people bought it. That's my theory. I don't know why it was listed like that. I don't think it's possible for Kizer to make this knife and sell it for that amount of money and really make anything on it. I just don't think that's really possible. There's plenty of people out there who think that just because this is made in China means that it costs $20 to make. And those people are definitely guessing. They are applying zero knowledge of the industry to that. It's just, that's their knee-jerk reaction to made in China, right? People who know better know that while Kizer does make knives for about $190 out of sometimes M390 in titanium, this is quite a bit different in terms of execution. If they can make money for $190, it's not very much. So does $319 make sense? No. Would it have been a lot more justified at maybe, I don't know, $250, $270? Yeah, I think so. It's a cool knife. It's definitely extra effort from what we typically see from Kizer, and Kizer does really well. Kizer, between $100 and $200, Kizer is one of the kings, if not the king. They are really great. Do I want them to have a tier that is above that territory? Yes. But if you guys are going to charge $319 for a knife, you got to do a little extra here. I'll tell you I can tell you exactly what would have made me fork over $319 for this. A combination of three things: titanium lock bar with a steel lock bar insert, contoured scales, and instead of this matte blade, apply the same satin DLC finish or the polished DLC finish that you guys did on your special edition Militas. Then, oh yeah, you can have $319. Then you're generally speaking in the same territory as what Kizer or there's so many K knife brands. Kunwu, when they go over $300, they really bring it. They bring you a lot, right? Textured, usually textured titanium, sometimes contoured. We got shiny DLC. They even do some Damascus pivot collars, right? You got to be doing that. That's what I think. So this is a cool knife. I think it would have been fine at $250, $260, $270. But I feel like $320 is too high. I would like to know if Blade HQ actually sold these things for $189. And if you're wondering if that was the case, would I recommend the knife for $190? Oh my God, it should be like the number one. Because this would be like one of the nicest Chinese production premium knives at $190 that I've ever seen. I mean, that would be ridiculous. But as it sits, it's just kind of, it's okay. Hoping to see Kizer do more of their special stuff for this X series. Definitely. That's going to be it today. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like. So check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe, because there's definitely more coming. Sorry, it was like pounding upstairs. Somebody was running across the floor, one of my kids. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.